moderate these nuts. How about that? Acting like I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin opening a fucking Diet Coke. Dude. Dude, bro. Dude. See if anybody shows up. Gonna do some cool fucking shit. Talk about some cool shit here. Because Laren's new steel, Magnamax just came out. And that is not the only steel Laren was working on. So, we're going to talk about another steel he was working on. I got like, I don't know, hour or so of daylight left, so I figure I can get this done. I figure I could do this all on camera. And we'll have some fucking, we'll have some funskies. Is there anybody here? There's a person. There's people showing up. Can everybody hear me? What's up, Jesse Adams? Can y'all hear me? I got the mic. I'm a professional YouTuber. Let's go. Cool, you can hear me? Awesome. Watch this. See this guy? What hood, Steve? From the mean streets of Stuart, Florida. What's up, Bless? So this sexy piece of steel right here, that's like 3/30 seconds, maybe, by like 1.5 inches. There we go. Some people are showing up. Let me see. That's millimeters, Steve. We don't do that. Yep, 3/30 seconds. We don't do that fucking. We don't do that fucking commie metric shit. So yeah, 3/30 seconds. This piece of 3/30 seconds by 1.5 inches. So, is a steel called, now that I think about it, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but they gave me the metal to work with. So, yeah, goddamn freedom units. We don't use communist fucking metric, even if it is better. Laren Thomas was working with the gentleman over at Pop's Knife Supply. What up, Aiden? To help develop a steel. This is a carbon steel. So, this is Pop's Pro Cut. This is called Pro Cut. So, this is a carbon steel. Now, the goal was to make like a really tough, almost like a really tough, like a, how do I say this? If you guys aren't familiar, for Metric Slander, if you guys aren't familiar, Laren's got videos on this. Nickel, steels that are alloyed with nickel. The more nickel, well, to a point, you put nickel in steel, you alloy it in steel, and it gets very, very tough. Yes, Pop's Pro Cut. You heard it here first. Slacks, we're talking about a new steel. So, Laren and my buddies over at Pop's Knife Supply, specifically Joey, worked together with Buderus Steel out of, where's Buderus? Austria, to make a new steel. It's not on the market yet, but we're going to have some fun with it. The idea behind the steel is they wanted to make a super tough, almost like an improved version of 15N20. It's kind of the idea they went with. If you don't know any like L6, 8670, 15N20, any of these nickel steels, oh, thank fucking God. I can relax my butthole now. Those are like brutally tough steels. The idea was to make a really tough steel to have some better edge retention than that, and kind of be the one carbon to rule them all, if that makes sense. What ended up happening was way cooler than that. So this Pop's Pro Cut, it's a carbon steel. The biggest addition to the steel is tungsten. There's a significant amount of tungsten in it. I don't know if I can say the exact composition, but the composition has a significant amount of tungsten in it, over 1% tungsten in it, at or around 2% nickel in it to make it super, super tough. Why I'm so stoked about this is I thought it was going to be cool. It ends up so far being super cool because they got the steel last week and they did some heat treating samples. They're sending toughness samples off to Laren soon. But what was I saying? After a austenized quench and temper, they were getting over 67 Rockwell, like 67 and a half for a carbon steel, which is fucking sick. And the grain looked fucking gorgeous. So what we have on our hands so far potentially could be a super duper tough steel that you can run at really high Rockwells. Being that we don't know what the upper limit of the hardness is, I'm going to try to hit it with the Wang Chung and see if I can get 68 and a half out of it or something like that. So I've got my oven fired up. So when it gets to, oh, Roman knows about it? Dope. Yeah. So it's Buderus. Buderus is the same people that make 15 and 20. They make Nitro V. They make a lot of steels. It's one of those, they're out in Austria. They do a phenomenal job with their processing. They're kind of like the ingot sister to Bowler. So Bowler does does pretty much all the powdered steel, whereas Buderus is like a sister company that does all the ingot stuff. Oh yeah, we're gonna push it. So what I figured is I got like an hour or so of daylight left, and I figure what I'll do is I won't know till tomorrow till I go get it poked exactly what it comes out at, but I figure I will show you any aspiring knife makers the caveman way. No, it's not Nitro X7. No. Nitro X7 is like Nitro V on steroids. This is like, I don't know what this would be like. I don't know yet, because like I said, it's got a really unique composition where you've got a fuck ton of nickel in it and a significant addition of tungsten. So you're going to get tungsten carbide, which is that was the point, was to induce. It's got a teeny bit of vanadium in it. It's got a little bit of chromium in it. It's got a little. Yes, the steel's name is called Pro Cut. This is Pop's Pro Cut. The idea was, you need AEBL on steroids. We already have that. 19C 27. I actually have some. I have a knife. Another knife maker sent me some 19C 27. It's his pattern, and I'm going to make the knife. Yeah, I ran it up 65 and a half, 66 Rockwell. 19C 27 is AEBL on steroids. So yeah, the idea was they were going to we're going to take a bunch of nickel, like 15 and 20, to make a dumb, stupid, crazy, tough steel, and then add some tungsten to give it some carbide. Rock and roll. Add some tungsten to give it some carbide volume, and get better edge retention, slicing edge retention, because more carbides equal better edge retention. What ended up coming out of it, I don't know if Laren expected this, but what I surely didn't expect, and nobody at the shop expected, was the Buku High Rockwell. And that's not out of the quench. It's not 67 out of the quench. It's 67, like, whatever it was, 1500 degrees, and, austenized 10 minutes, and then, or 5 minutes, or whatever they did, and then a 300 degree, 325 degree temper. And it was over 67. So I'm going to go 1550, hit it with some liquid nitrogen, and then do 300 and see if I can I might even do 250, really fuck around and find out, and see if I can push that bitch. You know what? Fuck it. We'll do 250 and push that motherfucker like to the moon, and then see what the edge retention is out of it. The other dope shit is playing with the heat treat. I want to say like 1500 or 1550 austenitizing temp, and like a 375 temper was still leaving it at like 63. So super high toughness and high hardness equals high edge stability, which means better edge retention. It's kind of looking like this might be like the dopest carbon steel to come out in a long time. So I'm fingers crossed. I'm probably going to make maybe 2 knives. One I'm going to run it super high, and the one I'm going to run it like, I don't know, 62 or something like that, and then we're going to beat the fuck out of it and see what it can handle. It's thin ass stock, so I don't know how gnarly I can get with it, but if I keep the edge geometry like, I don't know, 20 thou behind the edge, I bet I can hammer some nails with it or something like that. So I thought I'll take you guys along with me. And any young aspiring knife makers who've never, or anyone that wants to make a knife, I will show you the caveman way or the really way anybody that gets into knife making does. Start to heat treat, scratching out a pattern and making a knife. So let's do this. Okay. Let's zoom you guys over here. Skirt. Skirt. There we go. Step 1, acetone. You're going to use Dicam layout fluid. This stuff's always got oil and shit all over it. So you want to get the fucking oil off of it before you use this, or else this will get streaky. It's like K390. No, it's not going to be like K390. But I have a feeling that this steel is going to shock a lot of. I have a feeling that I will bet money that this steel is going to have superior edge retention and comparable edge stability to Nitro V or ABL. It might be better. It might be a non-stainless ABL on steroids. One of the things that I like to do, yes, it's also made by Buderus. What up, Brandon? I might make a steadfast out of it, yeah. One thing I do, here's a little tip. On the back, whatever side you're going to put the Dicam, the layout fluid on, take the other side and write down what fucking steel it is, because they all look the same until you heat it, unless you know. So I write down what this is, so if I pick it up later, I know, or I lose it or whatever, I know what it is. And buy these Sharpies, these industrial Sharpies. They stick way, way better, and they're like, I don't know, they handle up to 500 degrees, so. And I write it down the whole thing, so when you chop this up, you'll at least see some of this somewhere. Maybe I'll even put PC in between. All right. All right. This is the greatest goddamn layout fluid ever, and these motherfuckers quit making it. I don't know. Apparently, it's super flammable. Oh, well, you're fucking lucky. And I'll tell you why they had the best stuff. Because they had this little fucking cotton ball, and it spreads so much better than that stupid fucking... Looks like the stuff your girl paints her nails with. There we go. All right, there we go. Let that dry. Okay, that's always nice. Let's see. Kind of like PVC primer. The purple shit you're talking about? Kind of. It smells kind of like it too. It's like acetone based or whatever. So yeah, the initial heat treating they were doing with it, they were getting over 67 Rockwell, which is dope as shit. You take 67 Rockwell, you add some tungsten carbon. Now, tungsten isn't like vanadium or chromium where you get a lot of it. Tungsten's a really heavy alloy element, so you don't get as much per percentage, if that makes sense. think it's like 3-to-1 or something like that. Like 3% tungsten is equal to 1% vanadium carbide volume wise. So, 1% vanadium or 1% tungsten's like, 0.35, 0.4% vanadium. So you can have a little bit of tungsten carbide, not a ton of it. I will say this Pro Cut does come very nice. Buderus always sends steel like very nicely finished. It's not like Crucible where it would come like, or even wherever you buy 1080, it usually comes like with really bad fucking mill scale on it. This stuff looks gorgeous. It's very shiny. See, I was going to do a steadfast. Well, you know what? I think I got to. Do I have a? I do have one I could probably use. I don't know. It's brand new. A steel close in performance. I don't know. This by the looks of this might blow every carbon steel and AEBL out of the water. Minus the European steel comes always nicer. They always put a little extra. Must be the metric. Must be those fucking. Must be the commie measurements. I don't know. We don't know. You're looking. I'm like maybe. There's been like 2 pieces. Like one knife made out of this, and like I don't know, a handful of test coupons for hardness. This will be like the 2nd knife ever made or 3rd knife ever made out of this. I think Dusty made a knife out of it. I'm super excited for this, not just for EDC stuff, but also for kitchen applications. I feel like this will make a fucking gnarly kitchen knife as well. And depending on the cost, it could end up being, what's up? I don't know. I was born this way. It's not like jet black. It's like dark brown. I'm not Asian. Yeah, I was born this way. I don't know. It's just black. It's dark. My beard used to be the same way, and then when I was like 22 or something, it started turning red. So now, do I do a steadfast or we do a tried and true? I dye it, yeah. That's what I do. I dye it, but I don't dye my beard. Or do I dye my beard and don't dye my hair? Well, at least I was smart enough to dye my eyebrows because those are the same color. Yeah, which is it? Do I dye my beard or do I dye my hair? And the question is, why don't I do them both? It's regular ingot. Yeah, this is not a PM steel. There's a regular ingot carbon steel. With shoe polish, yes. Kiwi shoe polish. All right, let me go grab a stencil real quick, and we'll do this.
I literally just turned my light.
I guess we'll do. I don't want to do that one. All right. No, my ball hair? No, my ball hair is like my head hair. It might keep the cost down, but tariffs. So tariffs make shit expensive. Because steel imported to Austria had no tariff on it for the Austrians, but steel we imported here, I think it had like a 10% tariff. So then Trump slapped them with, I think slap them with a 25% tariff until they lower and knock their tariff down. What am I doing now? Yeah, Magnamax. Yes, I use crude oil. This is actually going to be finished soon. This is a 4-inch Steadfast, so I think I'm just going to use this because I changed, here we go. On the old Steadfast, I used to have this little guard thing right here, and I don't like it because I have to cut a choil, and this just ends up being like stupid space. So what I did is I removed that and took this out. So the choil becomes this whole piece right here. So you can sharpen all the way there before you need, which is a lot. I've been a full-time knife maker like 2.5 years now. So I changed that. The handle, everything's the same. I just changed that right there. I made the blade a hair taller, a little more. But yeah, I changed that spot right there. No, I haven't been a chef for like almost 7 years. Modding? What do you mean? What process am I doing? Chef is not the fallback plan. There's not enough money to pay me to go run a kitchen again. Zero. There's not enough money. You could never get me back in a professional kitchen. I have one of my really, really good friends is a chef, and he owns a restaurant and catering business. When he asked me to put the back in maybe 3 weeks ago, I went and it's not the stress, there's no money in it. There's no money, it's a ton of work. I'm not blasting over the Wusthof tattoo. I'm making a knife. So this is a piece of steel. This is going to be a finished knife tonight. I'm just taking this as a template, and I'm going to trace that outline to use this to make a knife out of it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm making a knife. This is a knife I already made. Yeah, there's no amount of money you could pay me to do that. So now that you got the Dicom on there, here's what you do. Oh, and if you're a new knife maker, don't use a screw or some dumb shit. Just spend the fucking like $8 and buy a carbide fucking scribe. You can get these at Pops. Yeah, all the ingot steels are always 4 foot. All the powdered steel is usually 3 foot. Just get you one of these. Unless it's 440C, for some reason they do it in 3 foot. Just get a fucking carbide scribe. I have no idea who Jeff Blavette is. Will this work here? It will barely work. Okay, so simple. You're gonna lay it on there, and we're gonna take this, and we're gonna scribe that blue through this blue shit to make so you can see the outline, so it's easier to profile out. Okay. Okay. Do you see? Hit scribe. How it's scribed out. For real. God damn, dude. This thing's like a fucking razor blade, dude. This thing's cut me so many times. I know. I do feel like it's like all new people. All right. Boom. Grab something like this. Draw a quick little line like that. Now, off to the bandsaw. The bandsaw. Kick this thing over. If you can buy one of these things, save up the money and buy it. What was that? This, I don't know the commie units, but this is 100 thou, so I think under 3 mil. I think like 2.2 mil or something like that. The cord for my thing is just shy. And actually, when I think about it, if you don't have the money to buy one of these, do what I did and get yourself a sick fucking wife and have her buy you one as a gift, because that's how that got there. Oh, Dennis. And you can smoke. Well, I don't smoke anymore, but how you doing? How's that? Your shop's looking pretty gnarly. The years of being a chef has me like clean neurotic, so I'm constantly blowing this shit out. There's so much fucking micarta and steel dust probably out in my yard. It's not even funny. So now we got this. Yeah. Okay. Now we're gonna just remove all that. How are we gonna do that? So I'm gonna take this. The grinders and the marrow braid. If you're ever in the knife making business and you're gonna buy a grinder, I've used like 7 different models. I've used the TW90. I've used the KME. I've used the, what's the other one? The blue one. Yeah, 2.5. There you go. I said 2.2. It's close. Make this into a warrant. Well, now you tell me I already fucking scratched it out. I can't fucking make it. I can't make it a warning now. The tip's already there. They don't make another one. I don't know if I have a warning. Whatchamacallit. Yeah, what is the other one? What the fucking blue one? Can't remember what the fucking name of it's called. To the tip of my tongue. This is actually a used belt. We'll use that. This is a 6-inch wheel. There we go. What I'm going to do is I got a level right here. I know he blessed us with his presence. What I'm going to do, Tormek is a sharpener, not a grinder, belt grinder. Oh, look at that. Look at that shit. Look. I told you it cuts me. Look. And what I'm going to do is, because this wheel's at an angle, I'm going to line this up with the center of this pin so it grinds the profile evenly and it's not canted. Not right there. And it comes with this gigantic fucking work rest, which is dope. I feel like, hold on. So nice and, yeah, I want that clean. There we go. All right. Get me some sweet shades. And we're gonna rip this thing. Another thing. Get yourself a push stick. Mine's out of metal. It's a scrap piece of like 1080. Bug out scales. But make yourself one of these out of like micarta or some shit like that, because rather than I used to do it with my hands. This makes it so much easier. You can put a lot more pressure into it. Yeah, not too close. right. So, okay, Todd, this is a brand new steel that has yet to hit the market. This is a collaboration between the guys over at Pop's Knife Supply and Laren Thomas. This is going to be the carbon steel to end all carbon steels. This is produced by Buderus in Austria, same guys that make 15 and 20 Nitro V. This is not Magnum X. No, this is a carbon steel called Pro Cut. It's only going to be sold at Pops. They worked with Laren and they developed this steel. It is a high tungsten infused carbon steel that also has a fuck ton of nickel in it to make it super tough. The initial heat treating, they just got this last week, so they did some real quick test samples. Was this this steel was hitting over 67 Rockwell. Dude, Canada fucking sucks when it comes to customs and stuff. I fucking can't stand it. So that's what this is. So, oh, actually, I just realized this is so this is not a typical 4-inch steadfast. This actually has an extended handle. It's for a dude with huge hands is what that was for. So this is a big one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up all this, make that line disappear, smooth that out real quick, and change the scratch pattern to horizontally rather than across like this. So it less of a chance of cracks or anything like that when you quench it and whatnot. You want a warning? I can make you a warning. Okay, this isn't even on the market yet, so the second it does, I'll make you a warning. So let me do this real quick. All right. Where are we? All right. So now next step, we're going to draw some, we're going to punch some holes in this. That's what we're going to do. I know it's only been 2.5 years. Isn't that nuts? You know, you want to get good at knife making real fast, just go full time so your life depends on it. Okay, so here's some tips. I learned this the hard way. If you are a knife maker, right, what you want to do first is you want to set where you want your scales to come to. So how much space is on your ricasso. What I mean is you want to plan for where that's going to be. Okay. So for this, I know how much. I mean, I was around a lot of really good knife makers. That's what helped. How do I say? I don't know how to say this well. I'm not trying to shit on nobody or nothing like that. I was, when you go to work and you see really, really high, it's like when I was a chef. When you're around guys that do really high level work, they don't need to necessarily teach you for you to get better. If you can see it, if you can see where the bar's at and you know what you're trying to shoot at least there, that'll make you get better. Just seeing it. Well, yeah, that's where it all started. Yeah, I was just tired of shit knives. I was like, I'm going to make some. And then I kind of got pushed into it. Oh, Dennis, you will be. You will be. So what I do is this. So I go, okay, let's see here. This is fucking light. We just like to have more light. So what I do is I go, okay, well, here's where the edge terminates right there, right? And then how far back do I want those scales to start? So I only want about 2/10 of an inch, right? So like, I don't know, a centimeter. Okay, I'm going to mark that off, and then from there, we're going to space out where we're going to do pins. So let me show you what I'm doing here, okay? So I'm going to mark this line where that edge terminates. Right? Where that edge terminates. Then I'm thinking, how much of this tang do I want as a choil? So I want 2/10 of an inch. That's the distance from here to here, where that plunge line is going to start. So now I'm marking where the plunge line is going to be. And then from there, I give myself about 1/10 of an inch of a ricasso. And then from there, I measure out where the pins are going to go. I do about an inch. I keep it simple. Now, a lot of guys fret about this stuff like hardcore. So a lot of guys fret about this centering, right? So you see what I did? So that's where the edge terminates. That's where the plunge line is going to start. And then I didn't draw a line there, but I went 1/10 of an inch back from there. And then from there, I measured 1 inch from here and then 1 inch from here. Greg knows how to make a proper plunge line. The problem is teaching other people. See, I sympathize with anybody, with employees, because like when I was a chef, the menu's mine, right? The menu's my idea. The recipes are all mine. How everything gets executed, the line set up, all that's mine. But I'm not the one cooking everything. I have to teach other guys and then make sure they're making every component of the dish the way I need it to my standard. That's the problem when you have any sort of a manufacturing, or however you want to say it, when you're making stuff and you need a crew of guys to do that. It's not, if I made every single dish that went out of the restaurant, they'd all be fucking perfect, right? Because I wouldn't let anything other than that go out. But that's not physically possible. Just like Greg can't physically make every single knife. So the problem is finding guys, because nobody is going to give a shit about Greg. No one's going to give a shit even a quarter as much about Greg's knives as Greg is. So you got to try to incentivize and motivate people, and then constantly, again, when your company is as big as his, you have to rely on managers you put in place to be on top of the guys to make sure that, because everybody fucks shit up, that fucked up shit isn't going out. Yes, but it depends. It depends on the operation. So, for instance, when I was the executive chef at any one of my restaurants, right, I got a crew of anywhere from 3 at one place to like 7 guys, right? I stepped out of the independent restaurant and I went and worked for corporate. That's actually how I ended up in Georgia. So I was running a from scratch breakfast, lunch, and dinner program for a gigantic military school over here. It was 655 high school age boys, 3 meals a day. No way I can be the QC process on every single meal that goes out. Do you see what I'm saying? So I had like, you know, every shift I'd have anywhere between like 11 and 15 employees. Rock and roll, brother. Oh, go to bed. What's up, Louis? Does that make sense? So like on a smaller operation, the bigger the operation gets, the less your eyes can be on the QC and you have to rely on other people. And it sucks. Custom knives. This is a steel that hasn't hit the market yet. This is called Pro Cut from Pop's Knife Supply. They work with Laren Thomas, and that's what this is. This is a high tungsten, high nickel carbon steel that thus far has shown it's capable of very high hardness. I'm going to see how fucking hard I can get it. And hopefully what it's looking like is super high toughness as well. Who's crazy, me? So real quick thing on this. A lot of guys, yeah, it's a tool. It's a not so simple tool seal. Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen that one. I don't know. Has the Benchmade brand failed? I mean, I don't know what their financials are. I mean, as far as I know Benchmade is either the largest knife company in the country, or I think it might even be the largest knife manufacturer in the fucking world. I think it's the largest like folding and fixed blade knife. I think the only other place that makes a knife, but it's technically a multi-tool, like more than that would be like Victorinox, or like kitchen knives would be like a Wusthof. Victorinox makes multi-tools. They don't make knives. You see what I'm saying? Like they don't make folding knives and fixed blades. Just like Wusthof, I'm sure probably sells more knives than Benchmade does, but those are kitchen knives. So as far as like fixed blade folding knives, I believe they're the largest in the world. Yeah, I mean, I agree with the pricing, but the way I look at it is this: I don't know what I don't know. So I always assume if Benchmade's increasing their pricing, that means they have a demand for it. If the lights are still on, you know what I mean? Like if we see them go fucking belly up in fucking 6 months, then obviously it didn't work. Yeah, they're QC. Again, that's what like I try to explain. Like the bigger an operation gets, the harder it is to QC shit. You know what I mean? Like it's just, it's hard to hire people that give a shit. Does that make sense? How is the strength? Well, your Rockwell is your measure of strength. So preliminary, they got this over 67 Rockwell. So very strong. The toughness samples are getting sent out to Laren in the next week, and we should find out how tough it is. Again, it being a really high nickel steel, like 15N20 or 8670 or L6, it should be super tough. But yeah, I'm just telling. Google it. I'm just telling you what the Google says. It's the largest. They sell more knives, more fixed blade and folding knives than any other company in the world. I don't know. Again, maybe it's the country, maybe it's the world. Last I saw, I thought it was the world. They're one of. How about this? They're one of the largest knife companies in the world. They're that big. They make that many fucking knives. So, like, they're no bullshit. They're like 10 or 15x the size of like Chris Reeve knives or like a Hinderer knives. Yes, they have massive government contracts, humongous government contracts. They have all kinds of stuff. They have government contracts. They're one of. Let's just say that they're one of. So when you get that big, hiring, when you've got X amount of 100 knives a day going out, making sure your QC guys are QCing you see what I'm saying? and the larger you get as a company, unfortunately, your standard has to do this. You can't financially, if you want to keep all those people employed, you have the standard, like the amount of blade play, the amount of lock rock, the amount of these things, the amount of tolerance has to drop, right? So more knives can go out, so employees can stay paid. Yeah, it's guaranteed money, if that makes sense. So now that I got where well, every business has debt. I mean, every business has debt. Yeah, but that's how a lot of companies in the United States run. They all run on massive. They're all what's called negative income. I think it's negative income or negative flow, whatever the fuck it's called. A lot of businesses run like that. They all run on debt. It's all based on projections, and a lot of them are like that. It's in the United States. A lot of businesses run like that. $17. Yeah, case knives are just dog shit. Their QC's been dog shit for a long time. But again, if it hit them in the pocket, if enough people cared about the QC and quit buying the knives, they would change something. But it just goes to show you, like with Benchmade, it just goes to show you, like, they're selling knives. Like Case, they keep selling knives, like, with shitty QC. Yeah, so luxury items are interesting. They're like, they are and they aren't, like, you know, like recession proof kind of. Like, people will always save up money to spend stuff on nice things. It's just what happens is when economic times get harder, they're much more choosy on what they're going to spend. If that makes sense. So like, if people were going out to, like, you know, if a couple went out once every week to eat dinner and they went to different restaurants, if money gets tight, they'll still go out to eat once a week, but they'll pick the place that gives them the best value for dollar. Does that make sense? Because they still want the enjoyment. Knives are similar like that. It's people will still spend the money, but they're going to be more picky and choosy about where they spend it. No, Proto X was Magnamax. It is the year of custom knife makers. Yes. Yeah, notice how most of them, 100%. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. Like, so for me, or for like most of the custom guys I know, no one's having a problem moving knives. We're selling more knives. Like, it's been going up. And it's when people, it's been my experience, because I used to do fine dining, which is luxury food for sure. It's whenever like in 2008 or whenever the economy, or like an election year when the economy would kind of dip a little bit, the sales would either stay or sometimes go up. They would usually go up because we were doing a good job. So people would pick our restaurant to come to, because they're like, if I'm going to spend the money, I want to go to a place where I feel like my dollar goes further. So it's like with custom makers, a lot of us are doing fine. Like, we're still selling knives. Nothing's really dipping off. Again, people still don't have as much money. They're just choosier on what they're going to spend. So guys are going, I could spend $250 on a Benchmade, you know, fucking 940, or I could spend $285 and buy one of Steve or Northern Knife Works or any one of these other guys' knives that I know is going to be ground well, that I know is going to have a great heat treat, that I know I can talk to him if something goes wrong. You see what I mean? It's not necessarily that it's not that they won't spend it. It's just who they'll spend it with. Which, again, if you make a good product, and now what's his name was saying, I wouldn't be surprised if soon Benchmade, you see them file like some Chapter 11 restructuring bullshit, because shit's going to hit the fan. Because what a lot of these big, like, car companies are doing the exact same things. What car companies have been doing, you watch car prices keep rising. Basically, what it looks like is the car manufacturers look down the pipeline and we're like, people are broke. Like, you hear all the car industry, they're like, They need to make a $20,000 car. They need to make a $20,000. We need a $20,000 car. We need a $20,000 car. They could make fucking $10,000 cars right now. The amount of middle-class people that even have the credit score to qualify for a $12,000 or $15,000 car is like this. People don't even have the money to afford that. So what these auto manufacturers did is they jacked the prices up and they're focusing on their higher end models. Ford's focusing on higher end trucks. Fucking Jeep went off fucking high end with their shit. So you see a lot of these companies trying to sell because people that have the money are still going to have the money whether or not the economy does this. They're just going to be picky and choosy. So they know nobody can afford a $20,000 car, and if they make it, or very few people can, and they make less money. So they're like, we're just going to put more buttons and whistles and sell things at higher MSRP, and then the people that will buy them will make more money per car and sell less cars. Exactly. Yeah, see, exactly, yeah. So it becomes you pick where you spend it. It's like, I'm going to go out to eat. And when I do, I'm going to enjoy myself. It's just not going to be to try this place. You know, when my wife's like, oh, let's go here, and I don't really like it, it's going to be like, nah, fuck that place. We're going to go over here, like the atmosphere better, waiters are better, food's better, all around. Yeah, everyone's leasing. Yes, tons. I have lots of repeat customers. I'm blessed. I have lots of new. I'm sure everybody does. If you put out a good product, it'll sell itself. You know what I mean? If you're not trying to fleece people, good products will sell themselves. So hold on, 50, 10, 55, 58. What would that be? 50. Doing some quick math in my head here to find the center line. Yes, lots of repeat customers. And that's why you have to do right by people. Yeah, see? Yeah, exactly. Custom knives and Japanese whetstones. Where you feel you get the best bang for your buck. 25, so maybe 60, 62 and a half. You hear that clicking, that's my oven hit temp, which is dope. For new knife makers, rent-to-own knives, what is it, Sezzle. For new knife makers, if you get a kiln, it's always a great idea. Once your kiln reaches temp, let it sit there for 30 minutes to kind of let the bricks kind of equalize how much heat they're going to absorb. It will also rebound a lot faster. What I mean by rebound is when you open the door and put the knife in, how long it takes to come back up to temp because you're going to lose a lot of heat. The longer you let it sit at temp, the hotter everything gets in there and the easier it'll rebound back, and you want that. Yes, Aiden owns some of mine, yeah. Yeah, Sezzle. Okay, so I scratched out. You see where those little here? Let me highlight them. So this is something a lot of guys. I do. So these center lines, where you're going to put these holes in here. A lot of new knife makers, I used to do this, they freak out about it and trying to get this exactly. Two things I learned. One, your eyes are way more accurate than you think they are, and they're also less accurate than you think they are. If you draw a line right here, and I go, hey, tell me where the center is, everybody's going to pick somewhere close to that. You might be off by a few thou one way or the other. Your eye's a lot more accurate at finding center than you think it is. But also, if you're off center, especially because this is going to be contoured and shaped, your eye's not going to notice it. You have to be significantly off center to notice like it being off center. Does that make sense? So if you're within the ballpark, it's going to look good and it's going to look on point with two holes. If you put a third hole in there, now you have 2 points of reference, and that fucker better be dead fucking center. All three better be in a line. If they're off, they all better be off. So I stick to two. I keep it simple. Less chances for fucking up. All right, brother. Thanks for stopping in, man. How do you purchase one of my knives? You can hit me up on Instagram. DM me. It's Steve Callari Custom Knives. What my thing is right there. You probably got to type it all in because I'm like everybody else and get shadow banned. I got a website coming soon, though. But, yeah, you can hit me up. Or you can check right now. If you check bladebinge.com, I uploaded 4 knives, so there should be 5 knives up there. I think 2 of them sold though. I think there were 2. I put up two tried and true models. It's a slimmer model, 1 in 20 CV and 1 in 4V. Thanks, brother. I appreciate that. Yeah, so bladebinge.com. I've got a couple models up there right now. And if you want a custom, just hit me up on Instagram, or you can email me. My email is Steve Callari Custom Knives, all one word, at gmail.com. You guys go make a call. We're gonna punch holes. I wonder, would this be easier, or would it be better like this? Yeah, probably better like this. Let's see here. All right, let me plug this fucker in. Okay, let's see here. There we go. Look at that. I got fucking laser beams. You see that shit? Fucking laser beams. You know what? Harbor Freight's good for some shit. This isn't the best drill press, but it's good enough. So you could use a stop. So this, because what'll happen if this gets caught, it's gonna helicopter and it can fucking cut your finger off. Hershey stream, whoever that is. Well, thanks for swinging by, James. I like to live on the edge, and I don't do that. So we're gonna punch some holes real quick. I wonder if it makes anything. There we go. Much better. Much better. There we go. I just like to fucking hold it down like my life depends on it. This is a 1/4-inch bit. I get these bits at Pops as well. That's a new bit. Do I use oil? No, oil's for pussies. Oil just makes a big fucking mess. Oil's for the gays. Oops. Okay. Oh yeah, it'll make you question life decisions. So I punched the holes, then I punched some. Let's see here, some lightning holes. So there we go. Okay, here we go. So these are, come here. So these are just some holes. Take some weight out of the steel. Sometimes I punch them along here, whatever. But this is 2 things. It'll take some weight out of the steel. It'll also give a spot for the epoxy to kind of bind and really fucking stick it on there. Oh, look here, Mr. Peter. Peterbilt Knife Guys here. I'm not hammering nails. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a smaller 1/8-inch bit and I'm going to put some holes right here. One of the reasons I do that is, again, give another area for the epoxy to bind to. But I can put more small holes than I can big holes. We all like a smaller hole, right? This is the slowest it'll go. Always use the slowest setting it'll go to. Yeah, oil's retarded. It's a waste of fucking time. If you don't believe me that cutting oil is a waste of fucking time, use some cutting oil and drill a hole, right? Then the next hole, get you some fucking water with a drop of Dawn dish soap in it and spray it on there as you cut it. And tell me which one works better. Yeah, you'll thank me. Or here's another fun fact. If you want to use cutting oil, you know what works better than every cutting oil I've ever used? Canola oil. And it's way fucking cheaper. These bits, these are your typical, they're not typical. They're a high-speed steel bit. They're made for machining. I get them at Pops. They're like $4 each. I probably drill fucking 70 holes in them before I replace them, whether I use oil or not. So that's all I do. I just do that and just buy new bits. That's all. Grab a little 1/8" guy right here. There we go. There we go. All right, we're on. Now we're going to question life decisions again. I do like this little roll-up thing, though, it does. It's pretty sweet. All right. You good? Yeah, we're good. Laser beams. Punch a couple holes. So this steel drill is really easy, I'll tell you that. All right, there we go. All right. Thumbs down. All right, there we go. Little bitty holes right there. Again, this is just where the epoxy will bind. It'll make it a little easier, blah, blah, blah. So I guess we could. And then now I'm going to chamfer the hole real quick. So Peterbilt, this is a brand new steel. Hasn't hit the market yet. It's called Pro Cut by Pops and Larry Thomas. It's really, really tough. I bet I can make a knife that can cut nails with it. Or we hope it's really tough. Really tough and gets harder than a preacher's dick. Go. There you go. So now we're just going to chamfer them real quick. No, actually, hold on. I can feel it on the bottom. All right. Chamfer the holes. Why do we chamfer the holes? I wonder the weight difference between the steel and the epoxy. Probably not much. Not much at all, if anything. If I really wanted to make this light, it's a really thin stock. If I really want to make this lighter, I would have carved a huge, if I had a mill, I would mill a giant section out of it. It's I would say minimal, if anything. So the reason we chamfer the holes is because anytime you have a 90 degree, like where this hole is right there, like that, it's a spot where you can cracks and stress fractures and blah, blah, blah. So you want to chamfer the holes. It gives you less of a chance of that. It's rare it happens anyway. It's more likely to happen when you're straightening with a carbide hammer. I'm the king of breaking knives like that. So now, next step. Now we get to paint this fucker. All right, now I'm going to do this real quick. You watch. All right. All right. What did I just do? Do you see how rough that is now? I roughed up that finish. The reason I roughed that up is because I'm going to use a anti-scale compound, and it helps it stick better to the knife. Yeah, stress risers. Honestly, I know stress risers are a real thing. I think they're like way fucking overblown with knife making. What grit was that? That's just an old used, like, I think it's a 60 grit, 50 grit. It doesn't matter. I just rough it up. Anytime you're going to put anything that sticks on anything, glue, epoxy, you want to rough up the surface. It bonds better. I mean, I should technically round all these edges, right, for stress risers. I've never had them happen during, if you're using industrial grade quench oil and you're using proper stuff, it's not going to happen. If you're using water, then you're fucking shit out of luck. But yeah, it's never really. I've always broken knives when I'm straightening them. I've never broken knives in the quench, not in oil, not in like oil. So now that we got this, now we're gonna paint this fucker. There we go. Okay, so what do we got? Is it no scale or nuclear? No scale. Here we go. Do I have to? Oh no, we're good. Hold on. 1 second. All right, here we go. We're back. NASA levels. It's not based off Magna Cut, no. This is not based off Magna Cut. That's Magna. Okay. Laren made 2 steels, three. Magna Cut, Magna Max, and this is Pro Cut. This is a different steel. This is not based off of, if that's what you're asking. Oh yeah, people fuck my shit up. Dude, if I showed you right now, I've got probably half a dozen knives in there of guys breaking the knife, doing something like shit just happens that I'm fixing for free. It's not under warranty, and I'm not just like any good knife maker is going to fix that. I'm not just I'm not sitting here trying to act like I'm some fucking benevolent. It's just good business. It's what you do for people. You take care of people as best you can. Lots of guys break my knives. It happens. Probably every 50 knives I sell, somebody fucks one up and like breaks one real bad. And then, I either try to, if it's completely fucked up, I try to give them a big discount on a second one if they want a second one to, so like I don't really make any money, but, I kind of break even, No, it's not okay. Yeah, it's not Proto X. So Proto X is Magnamax. So they revealed the name. It's Magnamax. This is Pro Cut. So this is a whole different thing. This is a high toughness, high hardness, which sounds fucking crazy. Should be high toughness, but it for sure is a high hardness. It's a high nickel, high tungsten alloyed carbon tool steel. So fortunately, okay, there we go. So I got this. This is this little pudding looking stuff. This is no scale. I know Laren did some tests on this and it didn't really help all that much. Where's the nail? You know what? Fucking hold on. If Peter builds here, we got it. Hold on. We got to do something. We got to fucking do something. We got to, if he's going to be here and bless us with his presence, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. Okay. 15 and 20, a retardedly tough steel. This is 20 thou behind the edge, right? At 61 Rockwell. This is Magna Cut at 64 Rockwell, also 20 thou behind the edge. See how the bevels look almost identical? Let's hammer some nails. regular old common nail. Make sure you guys see this. I want to try to get maximum shinage. Oh, I get you guys like right there. Like right there on it. If Peterbilt's gonna be here, we have to. It's necessary. It's basically required. So what do we do first? You want to do Magna Cut first? Let's do it. Magna Cut. Ready? Let's see. Right there. There's a little. God damn, will it focus? Right there. You see that little glint? But I didn't really. God damn, will it focus? Okay, so we got like the tiniest little nick right there. I don't know why this motherfucker won't focus. God damn, dude. Focus on my stupid head. Okay. Now 15 and 20. All right, you ready? Hiya. Maybe less. No, about the same. It's kind of like right there. No, it's less. It's definitely less. For sure less. Yeah, it's less. There's like barely anything there. Yes, this is an oil quench steel. So it's fun fact, and I'm sure Peterbilt will attest to this. When you hammer knives through nails, you realize there's certain variables that can change the outcome dramatically. Matter of fact, I could demonstrate one right now. For starters, the more times you hit the back of that knife, the more wobble you get, the more damage you'll get. If I take that same nail right now, put it right here, and I tap it and tap it and tap it, I'll inflict more damage. Second thing is the surface. If you do it on a soft surface and that pushes in, it'll fuck the edge up more. The drop point, which one? These are basically the same knife. This is like a little older version than this one. And then this is even an older version. I took out this little hump right here and I just extended the edge like that. Yeah, 100%. If you, matter of fact, here, let's see. Let me show you. Let me show you. So here we go. Even better. Watch this. I'll show you. I got a piece of wood over here. Hold on. So here, I'll tap it a bunch of times, and I'll show you what I mean. You get more wobble. That's why I use a dead blow. So if I set it up, I'll do it up further up here so we know it's not. Right? Now watch. So that left, see? Well, it's not really. Didn't really do that much. I mean, a little, here you go, look, a little piece is flaking off, but that's not really more damage. It's like negligible more. Let's try it on a piece of wood. I'll show you the soft thing I'm talking about. Here we go. We'll put it on the wood. Ready? What? That just bent it in the wood. See? See, it'll bend the knife. Yeah. What I think it is, it's because it's hard to. This happens when you're holding because your hand's not perfect. So this wiggle happens whenever if the edge of the blade, right, is let's say halfway in the nail from the first shot, and then the second one, right, it's embedded, right? Let's say it's in there, it's in the piece of steel. And the second shot makes it wobble, and the third, it's lateral. See what I mean? This stress is happening this way. So then it wobbles, and you can take a chunk out like that. Both of these are at 20 thou, so it's not that big a difference. If the blade's thinner, you'll see it more. Because it's like, I could say that that's more, but it's not really. It's like, meh. And I didn't even get it. Let me see if I show you the soft surface. Hold on. You know, matter of fact, here we go. Watch. Softer steel. Here we go. Because softer is tougher and tougher is better, right? Here, watch. Bet you anything I fucking fuck this one up more. Here, we'll go right there. I want to make sure I'm not in the same spot. Come here. Like right there. Yeah, you see? It's a piece of fucking right there. Oh, I want this thing fucking focus. You see that right there? It's like a whole piece came out right there. Right here. There's literally a piece of steel up coming up. Yeah, much more loud. You get much more lateral force because when you hit it more times, there's more wiggle, and that lateral force is bad. These aren't shown as much as because so geometry makes the most difference. These are both 20 thou. They're gonna hammer through the nail regardless. Maybe if I had a heavier duty nail, or if I thin these out. Because if I thin these out, for sure I'll fucking take a chunk out of them. My hand is absolutely perfect. Yeah, well, he's got perfect hands. I don't have perfect hands. Too much oil spilled on them. Yeah, this is like, you can see it. It's a little bit more, but it's nothing crazy. But that's also because these aren't giant nails, like super thick nails, and these are 20 thou behind the edge. If I take these down thinner, you'd see it for sure. Like a much bigger difference. And I learned that the hard way. Smash knives, and then one day I get, one time I'd hit it once, and it would go right through it. And then the exact same, or you know what? Hold on. Here we go. Here's an old, thin chef knife. Can you see me flexing that? You see that? See how thin that is? Here we go. Ready to see some destruction? Here we go. This will do it. I don't know what steel this is, but here we're going to do some damage. All right. Ready? So you can hear it. It's a wafer. No, you're not throwing it off. I'm having fun. So here we go. So watch. Okay. So I'm going to tap this one, and the next one I'll hit hard. Okay, ready? Stay right there. Come here. Don't be gay. Don't be gay. How about that? Is that big enough? How's that? Is that now? You think I'm now? Hold on. Now I don't know. There's a pretty big crack in it, but fuck it. Let's try it. Hold on. Let's try it. I'm gonna try it back here. Oh, I didn't even damage the fucking thing. The nail. Well, that didn't work. Okay. I lost the back of that knife. Maybe that was too thin. Maybe that was way too thin. It was definitely one in the kitchen. It was supposed to be once upon a time. I don't even remember what happened to this knife. But that grain though, looking beautiful. Yeah, that crack I hit it with the first time was too much. Well, do I have any other thin knives? Any other rando? That's pretty thin. Wonder what this one is. Let's see. That's pretty thin. Nope. This fucking Magna Cut's too goddamn strong. Fuck. Doesn't fucking do shit. Look. Fucking Magna Cut. Yeah, that thing was, where is it? Here we go, hold on. Let's see where it broke. It's 9 thou. Can you see that? That's 9 thousandths up here. It was thin. Oh, is it totally different on that side? Yes, breaking shit. You have no fucking clue. Go look at my old videos. Breaking shit is what I used to do. This is almost like a second job. All right, so now we're going to paint this fucker. All right. Always works best. Wipe this shit off with acetone. You know what's awesome? When you start wiping something off with acetone and forget you have a cut, and then it reminds you have a cut. Stings good. Makes you feel alive. All right. So I know Laren did a test with this nuclear stuff. Throw an edge on it real quick. Yeah, it was thin. It was thin. It's a kitchen knife. All my kitchen knives are real thin, which they should. Every kitchen knife should be. I know he did a test with this and said it didn't help that much with decarb. I don't use this with any stainless stuff, even though it's rated for that. This is a carbon steel. It's only going to be soaking in there at temp for 5 to 10 minutes, so it's not going to be... Destructive testing is the most fun, hands down. Now it's a petty. This helps a little bit with decarb. It's not going to be soaking that long, and the temperature's not crazy high. I got us at 1560, so it'll do, pig. It'll do. Oh, hold on. Oh, whoops. Oh, well, fuck. Well, let's kind of fuck that up. Let's see. Okay, well, let's see. Like that. Go around the perimeter. See me painting this guy? He's a little foam thing you get at the arts and crafts store. Okay, now, you gotta let this dry, but I don't got time for that shit. So, you're always gonna get some decarb. With stainless steel, you got foil, so that eliminates a lot of it if you wrap it tight enough. With carbon steel, you can't use foil because you have to quench in oil. So you're always going to get some decarb. That's what what I'm applying to it right here is an anti-scale compound. So it's going to prevent some the oxidation in the scale from coming. It does a decent job at it. When you're dealing with carbon steels, you're soaking them at 14 to around 1500 degrees. They only need to sit there for 5 minutes or so, 5 to 10 minutes. So there's not going to be a ton of scale buildup anyway. This is just more of like a little extra buffer. So I don't got time to wait on that to dry. So I'm gonna grab some matte gas. And we are going to, where is it? You guys see it? You guys see it? Yeah, there we go. We're going to dry it off. Like so. Don't blast it full gorilla, just like barely. You'll see it start to turn like a white color, and that's it drying. There you go. You guys see all that? Okay, there we go. And then once you see it start doing that, you guys can't see, but there's actually steam coming off from the water coming out. Once you get it to here, it'll kind of start drying itself because there's enough heat in the steel to get it to start kind of, it'll start drying. All right. There we go. Let's see here. How hot is it? Nah. There we go. Gonna paint the rest of it now. Muscle, yeah. It's actually one of the worst burns I've ever gotten. Molten sugar is a motherfucker. It's like napalm, it doesn't go out right away. That was bad. I was literally doing a creme brulee, and I was turning the sugar, and it fucking kicked up and got all over my thumb right here. And that shit was on fire for like 10 seconds before I got to maybe like 6 or 7 seconds by the time I got to the dirty sink water to put it out. Let's see, probably do this in my hand. There we go. There we go. We'll do this. A little dry time right here. See how it just starts to dry? I don't know if can you see the steam coming out of it? You don't want to layer it on super thick. I kind of do sometimes, but okay, it's good enough. Good enough for government work. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to stick it inside of an oven. There's the kiln, so you guys can get the full effect right there. Jesus Christ. Ooh, come here. All right, now, okay. Quick little pro tip. Hold on. Hold on a second. Come here. Stay right there. Okay. Come here. Come here. Okay. Pro tip. Okay. You see where that thing is on the top? That's a thermocouple. That's where it's measuring temperature. You want to get the blade of your knife right under that fucking thing because that's how you know that's what temperature the blade's at. What I do, and I recommend everybody do, is put the knife in ass first. So the tip is facing here. Because if there's a place, because these coil, at least on this model, some of the newer ones don't do this, but the coil wraps around. When this thing heats up, there's a higher potential for it to get hotter in the back than the front. So if we don't want the tip getting overheated, the blade of the knife. I would rather the blade of the knife be, in worst case scenario, slightly like less hot than the rest of the knife. Not going to happen. These are designed. These things come out completely evenly heated. But especially when you're dealing with really high temp stuff, I always keep the point facing this way. So if anything, the tip would be slightly underheated than overheated. Underheated is okay because there's a wide range. The quench rate, the austenizing temp has a lot to do with how hard it is, but the quench rate's probably more important. So if the front of the knife is 25 degrees cooler than the back of the knife and you quench it the same, you're still going to reach full hardness. If the front of the knife is overheated, you could end up with burning, with too much decarb, with blown up grain, all that kind of horrible shit. Chicharrones. Yeah, molten sugar is bad. Yes. We want to make this as fucked up proof as we can. So we're going to gingerly grab this. And we're going to place this guy ass end in. Pow. So you see, can you see the temp? So it was at 1560. You see what it's at now? It's at 1496, 1495. It's still dropping. So that's what I'm talking about, the rebound. So it dropped because we opened the oven. Now we have to let it, how long is it going to come back? So the fact this was on for like 45 minutes, the bricks are nice and hot, it should come back. This is only a 125 volt unit, so it recovers slower. Should about 4 minutes should be up to temp. And then from there, we'll start a timer. There we go. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Need to go actually on this guy. Oh wait, hold on! Don't do that, Steven. Don't do that. All right. So we see we're at still at 481. It'll start going up. There we go. See 84, 85. You see it climbing now. So now it's starting to rebound. So the next 3-4 minutes should come up to temp. One of the things guys stress out about that I learned not to do is rushing to get the knife in and out real super fast. It's going to rebound. It's going to be fine. Put it in there nice and easy. Lay it down. Don't scratch up. Like if you have it in foil, let's say you're heat treating stainless, you throw it in real fast and you could puncture the bag, you get a hole in it, and fuck your whole knife up. This is covered in the nuclear stuff. You scratch it on the edge. Now you got a fucking soft spot or a burnt spot. Just open the door, put it in, put it down, pull it out, shut the door. Easy peasy. When you go to quench it, it doesn't have to be this fucking mad dash. Just open the door, have your tongs ready, open it, grab it, take it, quench it. It's that simple. You don't get extra hardness or better grain structure from going like this fucking fast. Okay? It's a race. You're racing to roughly, with any steel, like 800 degrees. It's not a race to room temperature. So you want to, once it's at temp, open the door, take it out, quench it. Super simple. You don't have to like fumble it. Exactly. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. I used to do the same thing and freak out. And then what I did is I started testing stuff. You know, so you see these plates right here? These aluminum plates I have on these vices for quenching steel. I've tested cold plates, frozen plates. I've tested with air, without air. I've tested just straight, putting them in these plates right here and closing them. Every single one got the exact same Rockwell hardness, like within a few, like micro, by 0.2 or something like that. What would be the normal variance between steel? If these plates are frozen, makes no difference if they're room temp. The air doesn't make a difference either. Why now? Does the air or the cold plates could cool it slower or faster? Sure, but it doesn't actually matter in the grand scheme of things. So like I said, these steels are a race to like 800 degrees to get the full hardening effect. It's not a race to like room temp. So when I place a piece of 2100 degree magna cut in these aluminum plates, as fast as they pull out, so there you go. You see it click? So now it's at around 50. This is why I set it to 1560. It's because it cut off at around 1550. And that's why I want it around 1550. It depends. Now, swords are huge, and if they were doing it in water, it'll fucking break apart because water is just retarded. We oil now. You don't need water. Guys swear they get better hormones with water and stuff like that, but the failure rate's like through the roof. I found out it doesn't matter. Again, mainly because of the quench speed. So when we're dealing with like knife thicknesses, cross sections of knives, I don't do anything really above an 1/8 inch. So 1/8 inch down. That cross section is so small. But when I put it in these plates and clamp them, that aluminum plate pulls out, 1,000 degrees worth of heat in a matter of 20 or 30 seconds. Whether I pulled that heat out in 30 seconds or in 3 seconds, there's a curve of diminishing returns. So whether I do it in 3 seconds, 30 seconds, or probably 90 seconds, isn't going to make a difference on the final hardness. It's only as fast as it can go. Whatever the curve is, it could be 2 minutes. That's like, it could be 5 minutes, depending on the steel. Every steel has a TCC curve, like a curve at how fast it has to cool. Most air hardening steels are somewhere in the ballpark of 10 minutes. Now, 10 minutes versus 1 minute, you're going to get a difference. But once you get under that 2 minute mark, is what it seems like, whether it's 2 minutes or 2 seconds, the steel is going to get as hard as it can get. The austenizing temp really is what dictates it. So we've been in there for about 3 minutes right now. So let's see. Yeah. 3, almost 4-ish. So I'm going to give it another 2 minutes, and then we're going to quench. Yeah, and the other thing with swords is most of the guys that are heat treating swords are doing it in a forge, because to find an oven, they make those. GenKen makes those. They're fucking 4 foot, 5 foot tall, but they're super expensive, and you need a whole separate breaker for them. So most guys will do it in a forge, and there's a lot of movement. And really, most of the guys making swords do the shit in water. 2 reasons. One, a lot of those swords are made out of like 4140, which is the same steel that like anvils are made out of or hammers are made out of. So it can be hardened, but it only hardened to like 50 Rockwell. So those you can quench in fucking water. The likelihood of it breaking because the carbon's so low is lower. Other guys are doing like katanas. And with katanas, that super fast quench, it causes that negative curve on the knife, on the sword, and they're looking for that. They might be claying it and looking for a hamon. And the other thing is fucking blacksmiths are like obsessed with shit being authentic, even though it makes no fucking sense to me at all. But they swear they have to quench it in water to like appease the fucking ancestors or whatever, instead of just doing it in fucking oil. Alaskan Assassin. Let's see. Give it like another minute. Be cool if you're that dude that ran around beating pedophiles to death. The Alaskan Avenger. Alaskan Assassin, Alaskan Avenger. Yeah, the sword, dude. Bladesmithing, knife making, sword making has been around. It's like the oldest profession in the fucking world, next to being a hooker. Second oldest profession. There's so much woo-woo from bladesmithing that carries over into modern knife making. It's ridiculous. It's a lot of, and the last 20 years, we've learned so much about metallurgy and so much about heat treating. There's a lot of guys still like repeating dogma because they built their career on it or whatever. So there's so much dogma, dude. It's like, and I'm part of the Georgia Custom Knife Makers Guild, so I'm around a lot of older guys. A lot of these guys swear by stuff. I don't argue with them because like that's what they do. That's what they want to do. That's their stuff. They all make really nice stuff, but I'm not gonna lock horns with these guys. I respect them all a lot. They're my elders, so I'm not gonna argue with them. But there's a lot of fucking dogma. The ABS is full of it. It's just like, like I said, I take it back because bladesmithing's so old. So a lot of stuff gets passed down. I mean, there are guys that still believe that if you forge a knife, you can pack the grain. Yeah, it'll cut through. Yeah, Damascus, the fucking Woots, it'll cut through a fucking car block or whatever the fuck. Yeah, Boss. Yeah. Peter Boss's heat treat. Like his famous heat treat is like, again, once you start heat treating, you realize there's no real secrets in it. It's just how fast can you move the metal. It's really what it is. It's how fast can you move it. So here you'll see what I'm talking about. So here we go. I wonder if I can get a shot right here so you can see it, because everyone wants to see the quench, right? Somebody wants to see it quench. So got this little tanky tank right here. Old ammo can. I'm gonna move that back, actually, that paper. All right, here we go. Ready? Hopefully you guys. Okay. This thing's about to fall out of my... There we go. Come here. All right. All right, there we go. It's still hot. It's actually super hot still. Oh, that doo-doo. I just popped it back in because it was too hot for me to handle. Just letting it cool down. I got caca all over my hands. It's very fast. It's very, very fast. So here we go. So we're going to do this. Try to clean this off as best I can. Oh, we're cryoing. Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, don't you know? Yeah, I'm going to hit it with the fucking liquid nitrogen, you know. So here's what we're going to do. We'll do that. All that nastiness. I'm going to grab this. Here's a big no-no. Watch this. I'm going to dunk it in water. Get it real cool. There you go. Come here. Finger stuck. All right. Let go, Steve. All right, now we're at I cryo all steel. All steel gets cryoed. There is no steel that escapes the cryo. See that bucket right there? Everything goes in the fucking bucket. Actually, let me. Now, because the quench rate's so fast, I'm just taking some of this oil off with acetone. Cryo doesn't have as big an effect on carbon steels because they quench very completely. There's not a lot of retained austenite. But YOLO. Why do we do it? Because we care. You know, Lucy that bitch up like this. And then in she goes. Like that. And then we're going to cover her up like this. And there she goes. So basically, technically, once it stops doing this, it stops boiling, is what it's doing. The steel's at temp, and it's good to go. I leave them in there for an hour just because fuck you, that's why. But technically, once this stops boiling off, it's reached negative 320 degrees, and it's done its job. So it's always so okay. So here's the thing. 1095 is hard to work with because 1095 is a dog shit steel. Like, I have no clue why anyone uses 1095. 1095 has the worst toughness of any carbon steel. 1085, 1084, 1080 smokes it. 1082, can get just as hard as 1095. It's much tougher. It's just a better all-around steel. Don't know why anybody uses 1095 anymore. It's worth doing. So it's really a cold treatment. So this is cryogenic because it's liquid nitrogen, but any cold treatment is good for every steel. So the way to think about any sort of cold treatment is like a second quench. So what happens is you saw me heat the steel up at its austenitizing temperature. At that state, when I pulled it out glowing, it's now at its austenitite. So it's non-magnetic, the face of the molecule flip, right? The chemical reaction gets caused when I drop the temperature of that, from that temperature, 1550, to below, I think it's 800 degrees, within a certain time frame. I think it's a few seconds, right? That causes the chemical reaction. During that chemical reaction, depending on the steel, not all of the austenitite converts into martensite. That hard steel right there is martensite now, mostly. Not all of it converts. With stainless steels, because of the chromium, it's much more dramatic. With carbon steels, there's no chromium. This has a touch of chromium in it, but not enough to really, I don't think, to fuck with it. Yeah, what the cryo does is it converts the retained austenite into martensite. So you just think of it like a second quench. So we go from 1550 to room temperature, converts 90% of the martensite, let's say, right? Austenitite into martensite. When we take it from room temp to now, if we take it from room temp to negative 10 degrees, some of that retained austenite will convert. If you take it to negative 100 degrees, even more will convert. And if you take it to negative 320 degrees, the most of it will convert. Not all of it always, depending on the steel, but the majority of it. Austenitite is not what we want in knife blades. It's gummy, it's tough. If you get like a shitty Gerber knife and in some rando or Chinese knife in rando stainless steel, and you're trying to sharpen it and like the burr just keeps doing this, that's because there's so much retained austenitite in that steel that the burr can't break. It's literally bound like this, and you're just trying to break like a paper clip. A paper clip is an austenitic steel, which means it's like better yet, think of silverware, like your stainless steel silverware. It's an austenitic steel. It's never magnetic. So you can bend it back and forth like 1,000 fucking times before it finally breaks. That's what's happening to your burr. We don't want that in the steel. That's what makes it hard to deburr, exactly. Yes, that gummy feeling is RA. So the more RA, the more gummy it is. It also affects the toughness dramatically. It affects the edge retention because you can't really get a good edge on it, and the edge will fold. There's not as much. So the more RA in the steel, the less strength is behind the edge. Less strength, the more easy it is to dull, to blunt, or to roll. That's exactly that's why I said them. So a deep freezer, dry ice, or liquid nitrogen. Those are the three everybody uses. I used to use dry ice before I grabbed this Doer, and I only did that literally. I don't know. There is a difference between liquid nitrogen and dry ice. It's not super dramatic. With some steels, it's pretty noticeable, but not like it wouldn't make a good knife from a bad knife or anything. The reason I did it was solely financial. I mean, when I started doing this, a pound of dry ice was like $1.50 over here. It's over $3 a pound now. And they stopped selling them in 1 pound chunks. They started selling them only in 10 pound chunks. So for me to do one heat treat cycle was like $30. With this liquid nitrogen, this is a 6-liter tank. I get this thing filled to the brim for $11. And if I'm heat treating, let's say I'm doing a bunch of knives today, I've heat treated 75 knives in one day with that liquid nitrogen. So it lasts, and again, it was $11. Yes. You could run a wider edge, but that retained austenitite it's just there. So the wider you go doesn't really make a difference, or the more acute you go, that burr is just never going to want to come off. You might as well just sharpen it to a burr and cut on the burr at that point. Yeah, we want to get, that's the biggest thing between like a good heat treat. Like there's a few things that like, it's not hard to do a good heat treat. It's not hard to do a great heat treat. The biggest thing is what you just saw right here is how fast that went. So that steel went from 1,555 degrees to negative 320 degrees in less than, 5 minutes or so from the time I went there, cleaned it off. So let's say 5 minutes. that steel kept moving. It just went from here to boom, really fast. That means the quench was very, very quick, and then the dropping down to sub-zero was really, really quick, and you get good, solid, tight microstructure with low to no RA. Like, for instance, if I were to do a cryo treatment on, let's say, something like ABL is a good example. It gets a lot of retained austenite. So that cryo treatment can take ABL from like 61 to like 63.5 Rockwell, like that, because there's so much retained austenite. Whereas in this steel, I'm going to assume it's probably only going to bump it up about most carbon steels. It's only about a half point bump. Yeah, so like you could use a freezer if you get in the freezer, because again, it's all time. You have to drop. You only have a certain amount of time where you can drop the temperature below freezing, below zero, because austenite stabilizes at room temperature. So the longer it sits at room temperature, you only got a few minutes really to get it from out of that room temperature and drop it. That's why you saw me go boom, boom, boom. I dunked it in the water. I could handle it. It goes straight in. So it was only at room temp for 30 seconds. It will stabilize. So you want to get it. This is why production heat treats. This is where they fall short. A, they can't quench as fast, and B, even if they do a cryo cycle, they can't move that many blades fast enough. They usually sit around for a couple hours at room temperature. At that point, all the austenite is stabilized. So you're basically dunking. It's like trying to fuck with a limp dick. You're just kind of throwing it there, but it's not really doing anything. It's more for show. Tempering's more important because you have to temper. So you have to temper the steel. If you don't temper the steel, then you're going to end up. So tempering does a number of things. It doesn't just bring the hardness down. What happens in tempering, it depends on the range. At low tempers, you get what's called precipitation hardening. You get carbides that dissolve and release carbon, and then you get a hardening effect. Once you get in the 325 to like 400 range, 450 range, you get some conversion of retained austenite. A little of that actually does happen. But what you get is I don't know what the word I would look for, without sounding like a nerd, like a relaxing almost. Like the microstructure of the steel kind of homogenizes and kind of does this. So it gives the steel enough. You want a little bit of toughness in the blade. And from the quenching process, there's a lot of stress built up in the steel. The tempering process relieves that stress, like allows that stress to relax. So even if the steel is at the same Rockwell hardness as it would be, like, I'm trying to think of a steel that you could do that with. Tempering is more, you have to temper. You don't have to use cryo. So that's why I would say it's more important. There'd be nearly no benefit at all. If Laren said that, the reason if Laren didn't specifically say there was no benefit at all, the reason he said that is because that guy, he works in the industry and he's not trying to shit on anybody, because a lot of knife companies do that if they do cryo at all. I've read a lot of articles with cryoing steels, like for automotive industry parts. Certain stainless steels they use, they show a difference in retained austenite when they cryo certain stainless steels, like well after they've been heat treated. But it's all the stuff I've seen on Martin Senick steels, like hardenable steels like this, like with this level of carbon in them. There might be a 1% change. You might be able to convert. It depends on how. What they'll do is they'll do a snap temper. They'll take them after they're done cooling. They say they'll do a snap temper. So they'll throw them very quickly into a tempering oven. How quickly? How quickly can you throw 50, 60, 70, 150, 500 blades at a time if you're talking Peters? How fast can you throw them? You know what I mean? So they say that, but you would lose 99% of the benefit by doing a temper first, because you're allowing the austenite to stabilize. It wouldn't let you run any edge, even a more obtuse edge. The burr would still be there. Does that make sense? That burr, whether you did acute or obtuse, you'd still get it. And with an obtuse edge, you got an obtuse edge, so it's not going to cut very well anyway. 100%, Todd. The sole reason they say they cryo it is for marketing. Oh yeah, okay, so the only way you can do a bad temper is really over tempering. So if you were to take, anything between 250 degrees and 450 degrees on 99% of steels is going to be fine. It's just going to get softer, harder than softer. The only way you could do a bad temper would be usually once you get into 500 and above, like 500 to 1,000, that range, because there's some steels you can do a high temp hardening on, depending on the composition. That would lead to what's called embrittled martensite. So you get like plate marten. You get like the steel becomes very brittle. It becomes very soft and then very brittle at the same time. It's just bad all around. That's at like a 450 and above, depending on the steel. So it's hard to do a bad temper. But cryo won't fix a bad heat treat. The only way you can do a bad heat treat would be over austenitizing, like holding it at too high a temp for too long, or too high a temp for the steel would cause you grain growth and stuff like that. I suppose, yeah, cryo can't fix a bad heat treat. Like if you overshot the steel, cryo's not going to fix that. So it's like neither. Yeah, exactly. Does that make sense, Aiden? Like you kind of can't do either, if that makes sense. Like the only way you could bad temper is if you like way overshot it, and the only way you could do a bad heat treat is if you way overshot it. I guess technically you could do a bad heat treat if you quenched it very slow. Like if I took some, 154 cm, and I austenitized it and I just pulled it out of the oven and hung it and let it cool, it's going to be softer. It's not really a bad heat treat though. You know what I mean? It'll be softer. There's not really a way, you know what I mean? Like it's not a bad heat treat per se. You might end up with more RA. K390 is going to smoke crew wear on edge retention. Like it's about as good an edge retention as you can get outside of like 15V. Crew wear is just a great, I don't know. It's different in production terms versus custom. Like when I'm heat treating crew wear, I'm heat treating 4V, I'm heat treating K390. So they're all going to have thin geometry. They're all going to deburr really, really well. They're all going to have a good heat treat. The K390 is just going to be better. Like if you want something that can handle more abuse, crew wear 100%. Crew wear has better edge stability. You're going to be able to chop with it, baton with it, all that kind of stuff at much thinner geometries than you could K390. For an EDC where you're just cutting through shit all day long, straps, cardboard, leather, whatever the fuck, K390 all day. As far as like edge retention and sharp, it's going to just smoke it. Yes, yeah, I reheat treat a lot of my knives. So this was a bug out. My wife got me this as a Father's Day gift. It was the M390 one with the aluminum scales. And the M390 sucked. So I do this a lot. So what I did is, I reheat treated the blade and then reground it and then kind of acid stone washed it. So you can see now it's like 64 Rockwell, and it's probably 8 or 9 thou behind the edge. Now then I got some cool scales on it because I didn't like those scales very much. Now I've been carrying this for fucking like a year straight almost because I like it that much. How great of a steel is S60V? Well, Adam, hey, Aiden will tell you it's fucking the shit. Yeah, it used to be 4. Yeah. No, it wasn't 420V, it was 440V. 420V was S90V. 420V was S90V, 440V was S60V. S60V is probably my favorite stainless steel. Like as far as, yeah, probably my favorite stainless steel. It's like LMAX on steroids. It's got really good edge stability and toughness for being such a high carbide steel, but it smokes like it's got way better edge retention than like M390 or LMAX. It's a black. You'll love it. And the crazy thing about all the steels that I do, because I do a decent heat treat, like they all deburr really, really well. But S60V, because of how much carbide volume's in it, K390 is the same way too. There's so much carbide volume in it. The burr is so crispy, you can literally flick it off with your finger. S60V deburrs like it's spooky. Like you could peel the burr off almost. MagnaCut deburrs like that. The burr vanishes. But S60V will raise a nice burr, and then it'll just like pop right off. Like you could pull it off with your fingers. Yeah, yours is glued. Well, I don't have it out here. It's glued up. Did I glue it? Or I'm going to glue it. Glue it up, or I'm gonna, whatever. It's going to be finished tomorrow. I'll have it sent out tomorrow. Yeah, I love S60V, which is actually funny because it's really so Crucible, I think they did like a couple heats of it like 5 or 6 years ago, and I don't think they've done any since. And now that Crucible's gone out of business, I think all the S60V that's out there is all that's out there. I don't know if Carpenter will make it again because it wasn't really in demand. They just kind of made it sporadically. So the S60V you guys have is like some of the last that'll ever be out there. You know what I mean? Like it's basically an arcade. It's like gone now, which sucks because it's so much better than S30V. It's so much better than M390. It's better than LMAX. Like the only thing that can compare with it is like S90. No, it didn't, because I don't think the ovens, the kilns back then, like you could buy, were up to snuff to be able to heat treat that better. Because like I literally run the exact same heat treat protocol for S60V as I do my 20CV or M390, and S60V comes out a 1.5 points harder than both of those do. Has slightly better edge stability, like when you do some lateral testing with it, and way better edge retention. Oh, there we go. I think I popped out for a second. Yeah, it didn't catch the. Like I said, back then, guys couldn't get it past like 60 Rockwell, and the problem was it had so much carbide volume on top of it being relatively soft and compared to like S30V when it came out. So it was hard to machine. It couldn't really get that hard, and it didn't become what it was supposed to be. Yeah, it was exactly. They didn't have the ability or the know-how to get it there. Like I said, I was expecting a fight when I got it. I was like 60 Rockwell. I was like, fuck that. So I looked at the composition and I was like, oh, it looks like LMAX or M390 Plus. It's a very similar composition, just everything's kind of bumped up. So I was like, okay, for a test run, I'm going to run the same protocol and see what it comes out as. And it came out at 65.5 or 66 Rockwell. 65.5 or 66. It came out stupid hard. So then I did some testing, cut testing, did some lateral testing, some brass rod testing where I torqued the edge. Everything was fucking tits. And I was like, man, that's crazy. I wonder what it was. And then I started doing some research, and I found like the kilns back then could barely break 2,000 degrees. They were like 1950 they could get to. So you need to go past, like, you need to go to like 2100 to really get it to pop like that. I haven't tried any like 1950 to see what it. Also, they weren't using Cryo. I've been using Cryo. So I don't know if they were doing Cryo back then. Because there's so much chromium in that steel, Cryo is like really necessary, I'm sure, to get it harder. You get a lot of RA with a lot of chromium. Chromium keeps retained austenite. It's nasty for that. I've never used one S125. I'm sure it gets hard as fuck. Most bang for your buck? No, there's no makers buying the IP. The Aerosteel bought all their IP. Other than Crucible didn't own the IP for MagnaCut. Laren has that, so that's why MagnaCut's going to be produced by Carpenter. But Aerosteel, the French company that bought it, bought all the IP. They have all the IP, so they may never, who knows what they're going to do with it. Best performance-based steel on price point? Whose price point? What do you mean? Like, because I see, there's plenty of guys out there that charge $300 for a knife that's made in fucking 1080. So, you know what I mean? I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying, like people are gonna get. You're gonna hate me for saying this, but MagnaCut, like all around, like MagnaCut. If you like, MagnaCut is such a good steel. Like, I like it a lot. Like as far as like for you, like actual use, it just gets so sharp, so fast, and so easy, and it holds it for such a like the amount of time you got to spend sharpening versus the edge retention you get is so lopsided. It's not going to hold an edge forever, but it holds an edge, and you can strop it back like that. Steel costs from Niagara. Fun fact, like basically all PM steels are almost all the same price now. Matter of fact, just the last week I was looking at it, CPM 154 is more expensive than MagnaCut right now. Yeah, MagnaCut is the shit, yeah. Yeah, all the crucible steels were all the same price. They're all like within a couple dollars. Like if there's any like I said, CPM 154 is more expensive than MagnaCut. It's not in a matter that would make a difference like on the knife. It's going to be like a couple dollars per blank. It's not going to affect like my price to the customer. But they're all basically the same. They're all literally the same. They're all, around like $1,300 to $1,500 a sheet, somewhere around there. Well, SM100 isn't even really steel. Yeah, it's a whole different. Dude, slacks. I've had so many guys ask me to redo a Leatherman arc. Here's the thing. I could. The problem is the risk. I can't afford to buy you a brand new arc. I can reheat treat the blade. There's a good chance, especially because it's MagnaCut, there'll be some warping. I can usually get the warping out pretty motherfucking straight. The problem is because the blade's already ground, I'm assuming there's some flat on there that I could tap on. But then the problem is either you got to live with the tap marks or I have to try to resurface grind it, in which case it could make the blade thinner and then throw the tolerance off. See what I'm saying? So it's like I could reheat treat it and grind it, but there could be a slight warp in it that you can't get out if there's not a flat. If I do get it out, there might be some tap marks that you might have to live with. You know what I mean? God forbid it fucking breaks. I don't have $220 to buy a brand new Leatherman arc for. MagnaCut's deserving of the S30V. And S30V is an awesome steel too. That's another steel that got a shit rap because everybody ran it so soft. I've got a military, Spyderco military 2 that I reheat treated in S30. Fucking nuts. I think it's like 64. Fucking cuts like you would. We'll outcut M4. Like we'll just cut for fucking days. It doesn't like all grits. I don't know any steel. I don't know any steel that really likes. I mean, it'll take any grit. Just depends. You probably mean you want like a toothier edge on a higher grit. That's more in my experience. That's more carbide type and carbide volume. So everyone talks about like how I hear this all the time. How CPM 154 CM doesn't like a high grit edge. Because it feels smooth, it's two reasons. One, that's a high chromium, relatively higher chromium steel. So when commercial heat treaters do it, you get a lot of retained austenite. So when you're trying to deburr, you're losing some of the edge. You get a lot of rolled over edges. The second thing is the type of carbide in that steel is exclusively chromium carbide. Chromium carbide polishes real. So 440C is the same way. CTS 40 CP, which is powdered 440C. D2 is the same way. XHP is the same way because if you have a steel that's a relatively low Rockwell, which is like most CPM 154 is like 60, 61 max. So you have a softer steel and then you have a lot of all that chromium carbide. It just polishes really fast. So if you have that's why steels like M4 or steels like K390 or Cryo that are predominantly like a vanadium or a vanadium enriched carbide, they're harder and there's more of them. Those have toothier edges on the edge because there's more carbide on the edge and it's harder. Chromium carbide polishes really, really well. That's why like custom makers love CPM 154 because you can finish it like beautifully. Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. So ask Todd. So when I do my CPM 154, I run it at 64 plus. At 64, it'll take any fucking edge. because it's hard as shit. So when it's hard like that, that edge can hold a toothy edge like further up. It's not going to do it as well as something like, like 4V or M4 because it's still all chromium carbide, but that chromium carbide just polishes easier. But you take chromium carbide that polishes easier and soft steel around it, and you get like, it'll make a great razor blade steel. That's soft, 154 cm wood. It'll make a great razor blade steel because in razor blades you want kind of a rounded edge. You don't want like tearing at the skin. That's why you get that. It's not the steel. It's a little bit the steel, and it's a little bit how it's heat treated. 440C. I've only worked with the powdered 440C. I have my own personal knife is in it, and it's been awesome. I got that to 63.5, and it's been pretty tits. It reminds me of the CPM D2, which is look under a microscope. It's basically the same stuff. Yeah, it gets a mirror polish at 1K because again, it's usually softer and it's all chromium carbide, which is dope. You can sharpen it on anything, sharpen it on any kingstone, but it polishes real easy. The powdered 440C, I only got one. I got one little piece this big, so that's why I made that knife for myself because I haven't seen that stuff made in a long time. That's awesome. And the knife maker gave me a piece to use to play with. If I could I told them, I said, I will pay whatever the fuck you want for, I'll pay MagnaCut prices for a bar of that. Cause a lot of guys, when I showed that knife on Instagram, a lot of guys wanted one. Like a lot of dudes wanted one. They wanted one real bad. So I was like, that'd be fun to make like 4 or 5 of those to put out there in the world. Cause it's powdered 440C. So all the chippiness that you get from 440C is gone because the carbides are nice and even and small now. So you don't have to worry about chippiness or anything like that. Yeah, Taiwan OEMs tend to give a shit. I mean, if you look at any cold steel knives in the past, all those steels were done really well. Like their heat, even when they were on the softer side, like 60, they deburred really, really well, and they took a really good edge. Because whatever they do over there in Taiwan, they give a shit. And it's always done well, like always. I've never seen any Taiwanese steel that's not good. But the Taiwanese are proud people, so they care. They give fucks. They give all the fucks. So yeah, we're gonna see. I'm actually gonna do like a real low temper on this and see if I can get some precipitation hardening. And I don't know if I can, but we'll see. And see if I can get this bitch over 68, because that would be fucking cool. If I can get that motherfucker over 68, be pretty sick. And if I do get it over 68, I'm gonna fucking put an edge on this fucker. I'm gonna grind it, put an edge on it. We're gonna do an edge retention test and see what this carbon steel does. Yeah. So the thing is like it's like I've done like one run of CPM 154. Here's a fun fact. CPM 154 will outcut MagnaCut at any given Rockwell. I like CPM 154 for all the reasons I like MagnaCut. And in everyday carry use, I'd say it's even better. It's an even better steel. You give me choice of CPM 154 at 64 or MagnaCut at 64, I'm taking CPM all day. CPM 154 all day. It's a better steel for it now. MagnaCut's tougher if you really want to like do some thumping and stuff like that. But I love CPM 154. But people don't buy it because the name got tarnished by makers running it soft. So that's why I don't sell it, is because that's why I don't do CPM D2. I did like one run just for fun. I sold the knives, but they didn't move super fast because people are hesitant about it. Yeah, I actually have that Rat 1.5. I bought that, and I reheat treated and reground that blade too, actually. I got it. I grabbed it, fucking heat treated it, ground it, put it back on my knife. I'm not surprised. Well, see, I'd love to know if Spyderco has their knives. I would love to know if any of their knives are actually heat treated in Taiwan. I wonder, are they heat treated here and then sent over? Are they heat treated in Taiwan? Like, I would love to know where they're actually heat treated. Oh, Aiden, you have that CPM 154. Do you have that one? Nah, no. In my experience, it'll outcut it. Not like dramatically, but probably like 15% or so, like significant. You got, so CPM 154 is like, it's all chromium carbide, but it's got like 16% carbide volume. So it's similar to like D2. Like it's almost exactly like D2 as far as the carbide volume and the, so 440C, CPM 154 or 154 CM and D2, CPM D2 are all like, it's 3 different ways to get the same result as far as what the micro, like the carbide and the volume look. So they're all going to be similar. The problem is nobody ever runs them past 60 or 61. You start running them past that. So if you take, so I can't ever find the data on it, but I want to say MagnaCut is somewhere in the ballpark of like 8%, 8 to 10% carbide volume. And it's all vanadium and niobium carbide, which is much harder than chromium. But the fact that, let's say it's 8%, that means that CPM 154 has double the carbide volume. It's softer, but it's still double the carbide volume. So because of it's got that much more carbide in it, it ends up being able to outcut MagnaCut at the same Rockwell. Oh, dope, Aiden. Like one of mine? Yeah, so you see then, that CPM 154 is the shit. It's the shit. I love that stuff. It's so much fun to use. Like it's very similar to MagnaCut. It just, like I said, as far as edge retention goes, it'll outdo it. MagnaCut's much tougher though. The patent's probably been over. The problem with all those steels is like, you got to remember the knife industry is like this. We're like this big on what they do for steel production. Like so little, like that. You know what I mean? Like MagnaCut's really been the only thing that like fucking blew up for like crucible, you know what I mean, for these powdered steels, for like knife steels. I think they are still making it. It's just how often they make it. You know what I mean? Like when they do a heat of it, they do a heat of it, it's like whatever else they're doing for industry or aerospace or automotive, whatever else they do to like make the money is what they're going to do, you know? Like, look, some Crucible went under. They were like, I could tell you right now, this was end of last year when I was speaking to Bob Shabala of Niagara. So they're the ones that roll all the steel and cut it when it comes from Crucible and other manufacturers. They were processing 5 heats a month of MagnaCut. 5 heats a month. That's how much MagnaCut was being sold. Oh yeah, but like, what's a car company going to do at XHP? You know, that's all like 316. Hell, they don't even use steel in cars. It's all aluminum. It's all aluminum now. You know what I mean? It's all fucking 4041 aluminum. Yeah, there were 5 heats of MagnaCut a month. They were processing. That's what was funny was because everybody remember Guy from Survive Knives, how he said he had all that horrible MagnaCut that he was saying was Niagara's fault, or he was saying it was Niagara's fault, even though Crucible is the one that made the steel. The steel he was talking about, he had ordered over a span of like 4 months. So there's all the steel that he had the problem with was from 5 different heats across 4 months. So it wasn't like he was saying that they had a bad heat. They did a bad heat of steel. They're running more than 1 heat a week. So the steel he got that's why I knew he was full of shit. The steel he got was over such a large span of time. None of that steel was from the same batch. None of it was. It was from it was impossible. It was all different batches. All different batches. From probably more than 5. You see what I'm saying? He bought that steel over the course of 3 months. So it was there was 30 heats of Magna Cut between orders. And he claimed they all had the same problem. It was just he was a fucking idiot, and Peters was apparently a fucking idiot and torched the steel. Oh yeah, it's not even a coupon per bat. Guy doesn't know fuck all about fuck all, so he just puts it in the hands of Peters. Peters fucked the steel up. So what happened was, Guy, when you buy powdered steels, any of them from any of these companies, they come 15 to 20 thousandths thicker than what you want. The idea is because there's going to be mill scale from the factory, right? So when you get them, there's going to be mill scale. Then when you heat treat them, there's going to be decarb. So the idea is you double disc or you blanchard or whatever, you grind them to thickness after you're done with that, right? So you leave extra steel on there on the perimeter of the knife. So, for here and from here, you leave extra to get milled off later. He didn't leave any thickness. He got his sweet blanchard grinder and ground everything to like 5 thousandths of what he was supposed to be. And then Peters took the steel and did a stress relieving, because Magna Cut tends to warp, did a stress relieving process that caused decarb, which it's gonna. The problem is, the only reason why it was a problem for Guy was because Guy didn't leave enough meat on there for the decarb. He got all happy with his toys and surface ground everything to basically finished, and the decarb was too much. Everybody else that's ever done this knows you send it to heat treat with the extra steel there, so you can remove it once it's heat treated. You get past all the burn stuff. You take it off to where you want. So, for instance, if I'm buying steel and I want it to be 100 thousandths thick, when I buy it from Crucible or buy it from Bowler, it's going to be about 113 or 115 thousandths thick. There's going to be about 15. It gets more significant the thicker the steel gets, but it's usually about 15 to 20 or 25 thousandths thicker. So I buy it, I cut all my pieces out, I send it to heat treat, and then I grind everything and flatten it to spec. Yeah, he's a piece of shit. Yeah, that's what you do. So for instance, my mid-tech that I'm working with, Alex, who's a fucking god. So we buy the steel, we buy the K390, it comes in, it's oversized. Then what we do is when we send the batch to get water jetted or laser cut out, it's cut thicker. So like the profile, it's about 20, it's like 10 thousandths or 20 thousandths thicker this way too, right? So then what happens is we get it, then we goes from there, it goes off to heat treat. They get heat treated. Then when they come back, then Alex takes off that extra 10, 20 thousandths here, and then we send it off to double disc to get ground here and make it exactly 100 thousandths thick. That's what that's there for. Guy was too busy playing with his fucking toys, fucking made them basically how he was going to sell them. There wasn't enough room there for that decarb. He shaved them all off. And then when Peters fucking did their stress relieving procedure, it decarbed them too bad. What steel manufacturer? What's up, Josh? Yeah, that's what that whole thing was about. And then he turned around and tried to blame Niagara. Niagara doesn't make steel. They roll steel. He never yelled at Crucible who made it. K390 is Bowler in Austria. Yeah, their Bowler makes that. Which is funny because guess who? Did you guys watch when Guy was right before he left? He was talking about that K380 or whatever the fuck it was. This new like improved 3V from Bowler. He had them make all that shit. Guess where that shit's sitting? Guess who he owes money to it there? Yeah. Yeah, he fucked Bowler out of it too. There's actually a lot of that in the knife industry. There's a lot of knife manufacturers that fuck over steel companies. Yeah. Lots of them. It happens all the time. Big orders because everything's on like 30-day terms. Yeah, a lot of stuff like that. Lot of stuff, a lot of behind the scenes shit that people owe money. They don't pay this. You ever see certain knife manufacturers here in America and wonder why they don't use American steels? Probably because they owe some of these companies money and they can't get their orders. It happens a lot more than you think. Not everybody's Spyderco, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, how long has that been in there? Been in there a while. Dude, nuts. It's nuts. It's absolutely mind-blowing. It was over $1 million. Which I still don't understand because John of Heavyset Tactical swears up and down that Guy doesn't have a car or a house or anything like that, but somehow blew over $1 million worth of orders he took in, pre-orders that he never made good on. I have no idea how the dude's broke doing that. It just doesn't make any sense in my brain. Somebody's lying, but like thousands and thousands and thousands of pre-orders. Guy says a lot of wild shit. Guy will say wild shit about whoever, if you notice, whoever he's working with. For instance, for example, Guy, why do you think Guy was using Bowler steels? Because he owed Crucible money. Guy owed Crucible money 10 years ago. Guy owned Crucible and Niagara money. Crucible had to send to get steel picked up from fucking Guy off Guy's fucking floor and shipped back over, and they didn't even charge him a restocking fee for it because he didn't pay on it. He was late, or he fucking just spazzed out on it. I hope it was fucking coke and hookers. At least fucking have a good time. I mean, fuck. Did his wife leave him? Yeah, Guy owed Crucible a bunch of money. That's why he was working with Bowler. That's why it was rich for him to bitch and complain at Niagara about the steel being wrong, something wrong with the steel, and that they owe him money, which they offered to pay. They offered to buy back every blank that was fucked up for $100 a blank. The problem is he refused to give them to him. He said it was all 800 pieces. And they were like, all right, well, send us all 800 pieces. And he's like, no. Dude, I don't even know. That dude is like a class A, like narcissist. That dude, he didn't know. He's also lazy as fuck. 100%. Had to be. There's no way you lose that much money on, like, there's no way. Now without a lot of cocaine and hookers, which that I could get, you know. I don't even like survive. Like, if what I heard from guys that work with him is true, like, the dude would get pedantic over the nuttiest shit. Like, he would apparently be so pedantic over like bevels being like a micrometer off, but the knife I got that Brian sent me that I've gotten Rockwell tested by 2 other people now, which I'll talk about that one day, how fucked up it was. You could still see the grind lines through the stone wash. Like sporadically. You know? Which, for someone who has a fucking industrial grade stone wash or an industrial grade fucking peeners, you'd think you wouldn't see that. Oh, he was buying a ton of fucking machines he didn't know how to use. For sure. That's right, Todd. He was. Yeah, that's right. He did buy a bunch of machines, for sure. Yeah, he did buy a bunch of machines. But I believe all those were on lease. I believe he tried to sell one of the machines full price that he still had on lease. Yeah. Like I believe they were all leased. So I don't know where, you know what I mean? Like I don't know where the money. So he was buying them outright. He was double selling knives. Yeah. He'd take in pre-orders, right? And then not sell the pre-orders and then put up those knives for sale, sell them to someone else, do it all over again, take more pre-orders. Yeah, selling shit he didn't own, exactly. He tried to sell, I believe he tried to sell John from Heavyset Tactical a CNC machine that he still was leasing to John, if I remember correctly. Like, Sid, I'll save you the trouble. I have one of the knives was sent to me in that K890 steel, and it wasn't heat treated properly. Not for being a tough, hard use knife. I can tell you that much. Peters fucked the heat treat on that knife, and I know it's Peters because it has Peters logo on it. Yeah, it was fucked. Heavyset, that dude's a fucking cuck. I got a video about that guy coming soon. That guy's as shifty and snaky as Guy is. So I don't believe a lot of shit he says. Now that once he started running his mouth about me and sent that knife off to fucking what's his face to Jacob, like 10 dudes came out of the woodworks and was like, "Hey Steve, let me talk to you about John." That dude's as snaky as fucking Guy is. They were perfect for each other. All right, yeah, like perfect. I'm saying I don't think the steel manufacturers care if steel is good in knives as much as how fast they can sell it. If they're making stuff to sell by the ton, aren't they? Yeah, no. Yeah, what I mean is, if they sell like S30V, right? The only people buying S30V are knife makers. So if they make two heats of, if they make 40,000 pounds of S30V, it's going to sit on the shelves for X amount of years. Versus if they make 316 stainless for kitchen equipment or refrigerators, that's going to sell fucking every day. Is what I mean. Makers versus does that make sense? Because we're such a small. I mean, it's settled to me. I mean, I'm still. I don't know if anybody found it. Somebody sent me a video. Jacob said I called it, but he said he's not going to talk about me right now. He's got other things to take care of. So he's trying to let it go. Is what he's trying to do. He's trying to like back up and like because I'm pretty sure some people, you could see his own followers starting to tell him he was looking shady. I had a bunch of guys from his channel come over and were like, "Hey man, that the knife thing did it for a lot of people." I had a lot of guys come over and were like, "Hey dude, that clearly he fucked that knife up. Like, him or John." And I'm still going to find out which one it is. And I bet it was John. No, he's gone. So the Attorney General of Pennsylvania shut him down. He's not allowed to operate any sort of knife making business in Pennsylvania anymore. All his stuff last I saw was inside some storage locker. His wife divorced him. Everything shut down. The whole operation shut down. They seized everything, I believe. I know it's settled that he fucked the knife up. Is what I'm saying. I mean, that's why I showed the video. It's pretty obvious, but I wish I could get a hold of that knife. What I was really hoping is he would do some bushcraft shit with it and break the knife. And then I'd be super happy because then John would have a broken knife that he paid fucking $290 for, and Jacob would look like a goofball again. That would be like the win-win-win. Because then he wouldn't have a knife. He would have a broken knife. But with my fucking luck, the goddamn thing, he'd baton it through a fucking log and it would survive. Even though it was ground really thin. That would be my luck. My luck is it would fucking pay. It would just go right through it and I'd be like, fuck. I was hoping he would do some stupid shit and break it, and then John's got a broken knife. But that was my hope. Yeah, the magic. I'm just saying with like my luck. I'm not saying it will. It was a very thinly ground knife. But what I'm saying is like my luck, it would be some shit. Like it would actually work in some weird way. Not like a flex or anything. I'm saying like it would on that one day. Like the fucking rainbow would be shining just right. So negative 325 degree steel looks like. Can I get it to 68? Can I? Yeah, the magic touch. All right, well, I'm going to hop off. Lick it, bro. I think if you touch it, it'll stick to your fingers. I trust me, I've tried. Like, I've wet my finger and like touched it, and it'll freeze it like that, dude. I had, you know me, I'm like an idiot. I got to fuck with it a little bit. I was like, I wonder how fast it'll, oh shit, and rip it right off. Yeah, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go throw this in the fucking oven and see if I can make it. 69? All right, let's see if I get 69. I'm telling you, if I can get, I don't know, it's a carbon steel, so it's like there's only so far you could push it. It's not like this is, you know, but I'll see if I'm hoping I can get 68 out of it, but we'll see. I'll let you guys know tomorrow. I'll take it up to the shop and I'll get it Rockwell tested and we'll find out. I'll feel like a big dick though if I up everybody else. But y'all have a good night. Thanks for staying on. I'm gonna go throw this in an oven and then go to fucking bed. Y'all have a good night.